Hey guys, Crystal here from Elite Hair Care USA. So in today's video, it's going to be something a little bit different. I see a very big trend going on. Everybody and their mother's getting BBLs and liposuction and all this good stuff. And they're not being told the real deets. So in this video, I am going to talk to you about a procedure that I got done in 2015 by the name of Smart Lipo. And I'm also going to detail to you how it was an absolute epic fail. So, want to know where it went? Keep watching. All right, guys. So we are now in 2020. I got this procedure back in 2015. At that time in life, I was very, I just didn't like anybody in my business. It was something that I just kept to myself. It was something that I really wanted for myself. And at that time, you know, Smart Lipo was a big thing. It was becoming more popular. It hadn't just came in because people were doing Smart Lipo from like 2006, but it was something that was becoming more common. I was looking into Smart Lipo. I also looked into liposuction. I was one of the people, oh, I don't want to get cut, or I don't want to get cut, or I don't want to get cut. I just want to get this fat sucked out, and I just want to be Barbie doll, dime piece. You got to be honest, okay? So at that time in life, my son he was just turning 2 at that time. I had 3 cesareans, so I had what we call the kangaroo pouch that hang down, and you couldn't see your cuckoo. Your cuckoo is your vagina, for those of you that don't know. That's my word. It was something that I was not able to see my area. I was just overweight. I was also going through the hypothyroid situation. It was just a lot of different things. And at that time, when I did it, you know, I was looking at it as a life-changing surgery and not. In my mind, it was like a weight loss surgery. Sometimes you got to be honest. A lot of people don't know. They really don't know. Like sometimes you really miseducate yourself. It's almost like you're telling yourself what something's going to be, and you know that it is not going to be that. There we go. Okay, there we go. So with that being said, what is Smart Lipo? Smart Lipo is, of course, it's FDA approved. It's basically liposuction done under local anesthesia in like a cosmetic center. Some doctor's offices do it. It's like a laser lipo, okay? With that being said, Smart Lipo is supposed to be not as invasive. You should be able to go back to work in 3 to 5 days. That was how it was sold. Before I even got to Smart Lipo, I did 2 consultations, one with another doctor here in Florida, and then another with another doctor here in Florida, all based in Orlando area, okay? The first doctor gave me the price, and the price was just out of my price range. I think he quoted me like $6,000. The second doctor looked me straight in the face and said, ma'am, you need liposuction and a tummy tuck. There's no way you're going to be able to just get liposuction. It's not going to work out well. And he gave me a price of $10,000. At that time in life, most definitely $10,000 was not affordable for me. Not even $6,000 was affordable to me. So then the last place that I went, I didn't even meet with the doctor. I just met with basically the owner of the center. And because it was 5 years ago, I'm not going to say their name. Only because, you know, at that time, their reputation was shit to me. But at this point, it's been 5 years, and I'm not going to do that. It's been too long. But I've just gotten the courage to say I'm going to talk about it because I've recently undergone some other cosmetic surgery, and that's what's leading me into that. So I said, okay, I'll start here because a lot of people don't know that people go through this all the time. People lose a lot of money doing these procedures. People lose a lot of money for these procedures, okay? So anyway, this doctor's office, well, honestly, it wasn't even the doctor's office. He was contracted as a physician or a surgeon at that office, but he would travel between his office and that office, and he'd do the procedures for that office. So I guess he was like a contracted doctor. Anyway, the procedure was $3,500. And in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is a better price. I can afford this. In my mind, I'm about to be a Barbie doll. So I'm going to show you guys what I look like before. Okay, so you clearly saw my pouch that hung over my cuckoo. You saw I had 3 cesareans at this point. So I had a lot of hanging skin, I had a lot of loose fat, and I also had visceral fat. I never saw the doctor during the consultation, you guys. So I never got to actually talk to the doctor for him to give me any suggestions on, yeah, maybe you need to lose like 10, 15 pounds. Nothing of that sort. It was more like, this office is new. They're starting out, and it wasn't that new. I think they probably have been open for maybe like a year, maybe a year and a half. Come on in. And the owner was really nice. She was really nice. But if I knew then what I know now, I would have ran out of that office. So anyway, I go ahead, I book my procedure. I'm so excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. I'm telling myself, like, I know I'm just gonna look amazing. Everything's gonna look good. Blah, blah, blah. Everything's great. And surgery day comes, and when I get to the center, of course, it's me and the owner and the nurse. So when I get there, they have me put my gown on, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm telling myself, like, I am going to look so good. I'm so excited, so excited. So the doctor comes in finally, and I finally meet him for the first time, shakes my hand, and then he has me stand in front of the mirror as he's drawing on my body. At this point, you guys, there's no IVs. There's none of that stuff. There was no IV. It was considered to be an in and out procedure. But if you notice from my pictures, guys, I had a lot of loose skin and fat. That I can attest to. So, once he marked me up, I'm telling him, I'd like to get rid of this pudge in front. I'd like to get rid of my love handles. I'd like to get my flanks. So they were going to do upper abdomen, lower abdomen, flanks, and sacrum is what they called it. And then a week later, I went back to do my arms. Okay. So when we got ready to do the procedure, for those who tell you that smart lipo doesn't hurt, please stop lying. Okay. Yes, they give you a nice little cocktail that kind of sedates you, but I wasn't even that sedated. I think I was like 35% sedated. Like, I honestly was so coherent. I just honestly was up. I was up. I felt like the cocktail was a waste of time. It's a cocktail of 2 capsules. Some people it really does things to. For me, it didn't do nothing. It did nothing to me. For me, okay, nothing at all. Anyway, as I'm on the table, this is when it really gets real, okay? Because I'm looking at all the tools. We're in it's an operating room. It's created as such. I will give them that. They created a nice facility or room for me to be able to, or for anyone else to be able to get this procedure done. So with that being said, as I lay down on the table, the doctor comes in, he's ready to go. They have the candulas or whatever. And I also think with smart lipo, you are limited in how much fat you can remove in one session. That's what makes it different from traditional liposuction, because you can only remove a certain amount of fat and fluid in one sitting. Okay. So, they get started, and first things first is I guess the way they numb you, like they give you a little lidocaine shot in the incision. Then they cut the incision and they stick the cannula, I think I'm saying it right, in. And I could literally feel it going through the fat. It wasn't horrible. So I knew at that point, as he's doing it, the anesthesia is spooling in. So as you're pushing through, but let's be honest, you're pushing through so fast, the anesthesia is not kicking in immediately. It takes about 2 or 3 seconds after you've gotten through that piece to get in. So it was just like, it was not very comfortable for me. I think I was on the table for about an hour to 2 hours. And at about hour 2, I had to tell him, like, okay, stop. please stop. I can't take it anymore. At that point, I was being a trooper. I'm trying to make sure that everything looks great. I was just being a real trooper, guys. And it just got so intense towards the end of hour 2. I was like, okay, we have to stop. We have to stop. And at that point, I thought that by hour 2, we should have already been in the right place, because I hadn't had any type of cosmetic surgery other than a C-section with my son. Now, let me say this. I had a C-section, so you do have scar tissue. I don't think I had that much scar tissue in the area that he was in for me to be feeling that way. So it just was really intense to me. And this is not to scare anyone or tell you never do smart lipo. This is just my experience with smart lipo, and it's not something that I would recommend. I honestly do feel like it is a waste of time and money. If you're going to do liposuction, just do traditional liposuction, or just do your tummy tuck with lipo or BBL with lipo. But don't waste your time doing smart lipo unless you have a baby pudge and all you're trying to do is get out, you know, a half a pound of fat. That's the only time I would say to do it. But if you were looking like myself, please do not waste your time. You will waste a lot of time, energy, and money, okay? A lot. Okay, guys, so after the procedure, they put a faja on me, but it was more like a Mirena. It wasn't a faja. It was a Mirena compression garment that I purchased. Okay. Honestly, I don't think at this time that this company was prepared for anything. It was more like, you know, you can go here and get your faja, which they told me a place to go get it. You know, I knew to put on a compression garment from watching a lot of videos before the procedure. And then, you know, just talking to friends, I wasn't really educated about, you know, aftercare and any of that after this procedure. I feel like I was just, you know, like the blind leading the blind, and I just got the procedure. Everything's going to be great. You know, everything's going to be good. You know, make sure you sleep on a shower curtain. This is what my friends are telling me. Sleep on a shower curtain. You know what I mean? So a lot of, you know, everything that I did during Smart Lipo was more self-education. I do believe that now it's a little more advanced. You do get a lot more information. They've mastered the craft a little bit more. But at that time, I feel like they just saw an opportunity to make some dollars. Hey, this is going to be great for you. You're going to look great. And after the procedure, when I got home and I became a little more coherent, I was looking in the mirror and I'm just like, this just doesn't look right. This doesn't look right. I still had this big hanging stomach. Even with the liposuction, I mean the swelling, my stomach literally was hanging even lower. I just felt like it was hanging even more. I didn't feel like anything was done. I didn't even look like anything was done. I barely had a shape. You know, I just knew that something was not right. My sacrum or whatever, that area looked like something. Of course I had something done, but I honestly felt like I didn't have anything done. Like it barely scratched the surface, to be quite honest. I was not happy. I was actually in tears by day 2. And I know a lot of people can be like, oh, you know, that was swelling. Yes, it was swelling, but I honestly I looked worse than when I started, because I looked heavier than when I started. You know, my pudge hung even more. So if you can imagine, the vagina is this, okay? My pudge hung to this point. So you couldn't see any of my vagina there. That's where my pudge was. And then after the procedure, my pudge was even lower. It was a lot lower. So I just knew that it was not what I thought it would be. It did not. I just knew. You know, you just know something is not the way that it should be. You just know. So at that point, I contacted the office and I'm like, listen, my stomach is hanging like hell. It doesn't even look like you even tighten the skin at all. You know, and I feel like they sold me a sack of dreams. And I do honestly, wholeheartedly believe that they sold me a sack of dreams. I feel like, you know, they just looked at an opportunity to make some money. And I think if I had spoken with the doctor at that time, or it was at a time when they take pictures and let the doctor evaluate, I feel like he would have told me that liposuction was not going to help me, because my stomach was already hanging. I had too much hanging skin for lipo, for smart lipo, excuse me. Let me say like smart lipo, not traditional lipo. I feel like he would have told me that I needed a tummy tuck just the same. And at that point, you know, when you're stubborn, I was stubborn. You know what I mean? I was one of those, I want what I want, and I want what I want. So I'm not going to just blame it on them 100% because I wanted the procedure, and no one could tell me no. That's the reason why I got a third opinion. So when I ended up getting the third opinion, it was like, okay, good. And your price is lower. I'm like, okay, this is even better. Nice. So about 3 days later, I went back and I got the liposuction on my arms. Okay. And when I got it on my arms, it was another waste of MFing time. And I feel like now when I got the arms done, that's when I officially knew that, yes, I had some over expectations, but I also knew at that time that it was also physician's error. I also knew at that time that it was not just me overthinking. It was really more the person doing it as well. And I feel like you just barely cared. You barely skimmed the surface. You were a contracted doctor. You're not making a ton of money from the procedure. It's not like he's making 80% of the money and you're giving the office $200. So I automatically knew that there was something wrong here. So, you know, I get home after having 2 procedures a week apart. And after spending almost $6,000 at this point, actually I spent about almost $5,000 at this point. You know, at that time, I didn't have a lot of money, and I used my tax return. That was my reward to myself for all those months of working so hard. Let me use my tax money and pay for this. So, you know, I did that, and then I called the office again, and I'm just like, listen, such, because as I said, I'm not going to say names. It's been over 5 years. It's not something that I'm going to use to bash anybody because it's not even required. It's been too long, and I think by now maybe you've built a better reputation because the office is still open. So would I refer anyone? Absolutely not. I did get one good thing out of this, 2 good things out of the procedure, which I'll tell you guys about in a second. So when I contacted them, you know, I told her, which is the owner / also she was the consultant at the same time. It was a small practice. She was like, you know what, come on in, let's do a couple of procedures. That's when they were like, oh, you need to do your massages, and you also need to do I guess it's cavitation or something of that nature, or ultrasound, and that's going to help tighten your skin. That's going to help to do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, but you know, I wasn't really told about any of this stuff beforehand. No one at this time, it wasn't really being pushed that massages and all this stuff was very important. It was not being pushed in that nature because at this time, 5 years ago, people weren't doing it as much. You know what I mean? People weren't doing it as much. So, you know, when she's like, oh yeah, come in, I'm going to do an ultrasound, and I'm going to also do, when she said ultrasound, I'm thinking like, baby, this is how uneducated I was about this procedure. She's like, we'll do an ultrasound, and we'll also have to start doing your massages. I'm like, massages? Okay, well, you know, I didn't know anything about that. So I go in for a free ultrasound treatment, and I went in for a free massage, and I could kind of tell that she kind of felt bad because she was offering me these services for free. Like, she had known that this did not come out the way that it should have come out, and she was trying to find a filler to rectify it, which I totally understand. I wouldn't, you know, as an office owner, I'm gonna do the same thing, but I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna say, listen, this procedure didn't work out for you. You know, I do highly stress that you probably will be needing to get such and such done at a later time, or you can get a revision and all this stuff, okay? Anyway, I get the ultrasound thing, and I also get the massage. I got it like once. Once again, didn't know anything about this, didn't know you needed to do 10, 20, 30 massages after the fact. So I did that, and time went by, and the only time I felt like I looked good is when I had a garment on. And even when I had the garment on, I felt like it was like a waist trainer. You know, like when you know you're overweight, you know you have love handles, you know you have rolls, you know you have fat in the wrong places, and you go and just get a waist trainer or a faja just to shape you so you can look like you have a shape, knowing that the moment you take the faja off, everything is going to spill on out and you go back to your regular self. So it was like, that's how I felt. The only time I could really look like I had something done is if I put a garment on. And this happened, it was the same weeks later. a month later, 2 months later, and I noticed that the swelling went down. And yes, my shape got a little bit better. I'm not gonna say it was bad. My shape got a little bit better. My stomach got a little bit flatter, but so did the skin. The skin became a flat fold, or almost flat fold, with a lot of fat still in there. And then of course it's skin, so the skin is, you know, still a little bit thick. So thick skin folded. So it was like hanging more. Now it became the point where I was having to put my shorts and stuff over the fold, over the hang, to make me look like I had somewhat of a shape, or I have to wear garments. This is months and months going by, guys. A year later, I look like I had never been touched. So of course you say, well, they say you have to give it a year, you got to give it time. A year later, I look like you had not even touched me. Okay? By this point, the center that I went to, I wrote them the nastiest review on this planet, because I do feel strongly after all of that I was truly taken advantage of. I was truly just given something just because, and they knew that it wasn't right for me. And instead of just saying that it wasn't right for me, you rather just take the money and do it. It's not that I sat there trying to convince you. I didn't sit there like, you give me your opinion and I still say don't. Okay, no, I still want you to do it. I wasn't given your opinion. I was given the opinion from another doctor. I was told I could get lipo from another doctor. Then I was told that I could get smart lipo from you. So it was more like, just make a decision which one you want to do based on cost. And of course you get what you pay for. But at that time, unrealistically, I'm telling myself that, okay, liposuction should not cost more than $3,000. Unrealistically. But then from there, it was just crazy, guys. It was just crazy. I will honestly say the only good thing that I took from that is, number one, how not to run my business by over promising and under delivering. I don't do that. And number two, I did get a great link on an amazing faja company right here in Orlando that actually will adjust your fajas and sew them to make your shape, because I knew later on I might need it. I knew a lot of people that were doing procedures in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and they have those places down there, but we only had one here, and I learned about them and just never forgot about them. So those are the two good things that I did take out of it. I appreciated the manager's kindness, but I do feel like it was more out of regret or remorse, not regret. It was more out of remorse, and not because you knew that it would work. You just did it because you knew that I was very unhappy, and you knew at the end of the day that it was not the right procedure for me. And it is what it is. So that was my experience with Smart Lipo. Like I said, it's been 5 years. I feel like, of course, medicine has gotten so much better. Procedures have been, it's becoming more normal now that people have procedures. So of course the standard of care and aftercare and just being honest sometimes is, you know, a little bit better now. But I definitely tell you guys, do your research, do your research. The last time I checked about this doctor, you know, this doctor is now in Tampa, back at his original practice, still doing procedures. And some people speak highly of him. Some people speak like he wasted my motherfucking time. So it's about a 50-50. So clearly I know how I'm feeling was not crazy. And this was 5 years ago. So the fact that he still has these reviews now tells me a lot. Same thing with that center. You know, they're still practicing and doing procedures, and I think he's still the physician doing them, and I think they got one other person. I did look them up just to kind of see before I said anything, you know, what was going on with them, that they are still in business in the exact same spot. So I mean, a lot of these centers, it doesn't matter. Someone could pass away and they just changed their name. Center's still the same, still looks the same, everything. You just change your name and change your license number. So, you know, but their name is still exactly the same, but I'm not going to really go into all of that. But like I said, guys, if you're thinking about doing Smart Lipo and you look anything like my picture, please don't waste your time. You know, if my stomach was sitting up higher and I was given, if it was sitting up, but it was a pudge, possibly that would work. But even then, once you have to think realistically now. If you remove something of bulk from something that's round, that round is either going, if the elasticity is still good in the skin, it will retract. If the elasticity is not good in the skin, it will hang. If you're like me and you had tummy tucks, not tummy tucks, cesareans, that's why I said tummy tucks, because I meant cesareans, that kind of thing. Keep in mind the elasticity is already gone in that area, unless you're like a rubber band. Some people have a rubber band body. 90% don't. So that elasticity in that skin is gone because it's been hanging there for so long. It's been sitting there for so long. Now, if your skin is really taut and tight, then it'll probably retract. But if your skin is loose and you can literally pull it, that skin is not going to retract. It's going to hang. So don't even waste time saying you're going to get liposuction. Go ahead and just get the tuck, sis. Call it a day. Okay? So I will go further, guys, and I will give you guys another story time, because this does not end here in regards to procedures for me. So don't forget, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Make sure you thumbs up this video and comment down below if you've had a procedure like this, and tell me what your outcome was, because I know I'm not the only person that it was a epic fail. Okay, like I know I'm not. There's so many people out there with lopsided butts and all this stuff. So, you know, if you're one of those people that had a situation like that, please leave it in the comments. Tell us your story. And I'll catch you guys in part 2 to this video on the next procedure, because that was another conversation. Okay, I'll see you guys here.